the challenges that we think that we can talk about. So the first, the power of social media, of using social media. I don't know if anybody wants to start. And and after we start talking about it, like we want you guys to ask stuff if you feel or an idea pop up. Like we want this to be interactive as well. And talk about that topic, and then we go to the other one, and then we have questions about it, and we can go ahead. Yeah.
1, 2, 3. Yeah. Cool. Can you hear me at the back?
Yeah.
Cool. Yes. The first question was about the power of social media. I guess the obvious thing to say is that it's easy nowadays to reach a lot of people from like anywhere in the world, right? And a lot of people say, yeah, but Klaus, like, when are you gonna get like 5 views on my good video? But even if you reach 5 people, those people can spread that message. So whether you reach like 2 people or 2,000 people, it's really powerful.
She was, the real timing thing that we were talking about.
Yeah, I think it's so powerful. Everyone is a content creator now. Whenever you post a picture of your food or something on Facebook or Instagram stories, if you're advocating veganism and you're showing it what it's like, and you're reaching hundreds of friends on Facebook or whatever platform you use. I think that it's not just down to platforms like Office News and Live Kindly. Each individual person can use that. Everyone has access to it, and you're reaching people from across the world as well.
And connecting with them too, right? That's what we are seeing also, that not only the bad things that are happening in Africa or in South America, but also activists that are doing something there, and we can connect and like put fuel on their work. And here it's that connection that social media is giving to us,
Yeah, it's such a free flow of information. You can, learn about stuff that's happening from across the other side of the world, which you wouldn't necessarily know about previously, and it's in real time as well. So, I think it's helping us to build a community which we wouldn't have had, 20 years ago or however much.
And how important it is also to follow communities, right? It's like to following Facebook, Instagram, like connect them, like to really follow them and have the news. What you guys are doing is amazing because people can see news, good news also, things that they can do, or events that are happening, but stay connected into the tribe, let's say. It's a good.
Yeah, people don't necessarily want to just know what's happening in their own country. I guess that you may find this as well, but we have readers from across the world who, engage with content which is, new products coming out in North America and new restaurants or celebrities going vegan from all over the world, and people want to know what's happening, not just in their bubble, they want to know what's happening everywhere. So I think, platforms like ours help kind of curate that, and I just think it's something that's never happened before, and we need more of it.
Can you guys, because what you're doing is really like reaches so many people, so I would like to know, and maybe some people also, how you started it, what was the moment that I'm going to start this? Because some people maybe have the idea, but are like, but maybe I'm alone, I don't have a camera, I don't know what to do. It's like, so what was it, the thing that made you like, okay, I'm starting this?
I was really scared of failure, and anybody who wants to get on social media but are scared of not getting any views or looking like an idiot. That was me like 2 years ago, and what I did is I didn't tell anybody about it. So I didn't tell my family about it, and for about a year I just did it on my own. And then what you notice is that you get a lot better at presenting, you get better at editing, and then you pick up a following, and then it just becomes a lot easier. And then you can tell family and friends. That's my advice. But yeah, what do you think?
Yeah, I think that's so important. I'm still not even there yet. I hate being on camera. I hate being on this panel. It scares me.
We're with you.
But I think it's so important, when you believe in something and you really want to make a difference. We have to do it. We don't have enough people doing it at the moment, so I'm very much kind of behind the scenes, behind the computer most of the time. But for me, I was vegan and I didn't feel like I was creating enough impact. I had a blog that, who reads a blog that you update every 6 months, and who cares what I'm doing? I want to give a platform to other people to have their voices heard, and so they can be activists and to get this information out there to a huge audience, you know, not just a few of my friends. So that was my aim, is I wanted to create a bigger impact, and I didn't feel that just eating vegan was doing enough.
That's also something to remember, right, as activists, to say the goal, why we're doing it, like remember it every day, right? Why we're doing this, for them, not for us. Like, we want to show their lives, we want to help them. Something you want to say about it?
Yeah, actually, I'm just noticing now the power of it is that it's interesting to be in front of so many people in real life right now. You're able to speak to this many people just with the click of a button. It's actually scarier to do this, I think. That's why I have my emotional support. but I mean, think about it. All of these people in this room, with very little effort, you can reach, and you have the chance to edit it and rehearse it, or whatever you want to do. So I think, yeah, it should be on the flip side, maybe empowering and encouraging that we have that ability. Just one way to look at it.
And on that topic also, is like, it's good to think that the people out there are not our enemies or are people who are going to be judging, because that's one thing that the ego says before, oh, I have to grab the microphone and speak in front of people. And it's like kind of, oh, but it's like actually we're all friends and we're all on the same level and thinking the same. So even if people are like reacting or haters, as people say nowadays, it's not true. They're human beings as well, and deep down inside, there is a being wanting to receive some good things, news and positive vibrations, let's say, like in a general way. So it's like tuning into that part of the followers or the people out there is what I'm doing right now, because I'm like nervous when I have to speak in front of people. So it's like thinking that you guys are with me, or we're all together, like for somebody or for so many people or for a goal. That is also something that helps me when I have to write in the internet, because I'm in Paraguay, like the terrorists, I have to put bombs sometimes, like with news, and that's something that I have to remember before dropping bombs, love bombs, saying, hey, we're all together in this is for Paraguay, this is for the animals, so everything, like that intention said it, goes there and reaches the heart, even though if they react in a weird way, it's like it's reaching, it's the intention.
I think one cool thing too is if you are, like these guys have so many eyes on what they're doing. For myself, I've been a closet activist for the most part, more like my lifestyle is my activism. I'm just always trying to portray and be happy and having fun. And then if someone kind of digs around a little bit, they find out that I support animal rights and veganism. But what's cool about that is I think that if you're on that small level, you still have such an impact. The numbers of followers or views don't really matter. One interesting, crazy story that I remember from that is I was at a festival one time, and I had a few thousand followers or something like that on Instagram. And at the time, I was living in a van. I lived in a van for about 3 years and traveled around and did that, and was every so often talking about veganism. And this guy came up to me randomly at a festival and was like, dude, I'm living in my van. I just came to this festival because I saw that you talked about it, and I just went vegan like 3 weeks ago. Like, he made all these crazy changes based off of, just some of what I was talking about and why it was benefiting me. So you don't have to be, Logan Paul to make a difference. You can just have a few thousand followers and still do so much. Yeah, 2 followers, yeah, so.
I also think there's like a culture of like, if you're on social media, it has to be about you, you have to be blogging, but you can create a page and upload like interviews about other people. It doesn't have to be about you. So if you're not very good on camera, then you can still be on social media.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I think that, there's so many other ways you can do it without putting yourself out there. You have like amazing graphics with facts you can share, things like that, just whatever you can do, if it's just one post a day or whatever, you're reaching so many people and creating an impact or planting that seed, and that's the most important thing, is just to get people thinking and get a conversation started, and that's how I began, and you know, it can turn into something big if you want it to, and you can just keep doing that, and you know, I think that everyone is an advocate for veganism if you just put it out there.
Awesome. Using social media as a tool to amplify others and others' work, right? Anybody has a question on this specific topic? You're good? Oh, good. So we have the helper.
I just wanted to say, my roommate recently tried to go vegan, and just because she saw how I seem to always be happy and healthy, and she just wanted to try it out. And she felt like she wasn't really making a difference. And I didn't really know what to say at that point, because she's like, I'm just one person, I feel like my decision in the dining hall isn't making a difference at all. And I remember something later that, you always think of what you should have said, to them later, but I learned this, someone said something at a vegan summit a couple years ago, and it really struck me. It was there's about 200 of us in the room now, and if each one of us only turns one person vegan this year, then next year there'll be 400. And it will keep snowballing, and soon enough we'll have a vegan world. So I think it's important that we can use both social media and just talking to people in real life, and even if you think it's just one person, it really does make a difference.
Okay, so I am not old, but older, and I grew up, I love talking in front of people, I love the connection, I love the interaction, and that social media, I know, is the reality now, and I have to be on it in order to get myself out there, because that's what people do. I push myself to be on Facebook. Everyone says, oh, you gotta do Twitter and Instagram and blog and blah. I mean, it's nauseating to me. So, because I don't feel the connection when I'm on social media. Even when people respond to me, I don't feel that deep connection, which is what fuels me. And I also see the negative side of social media, which is, unfortunate, because we've lost so much of that kind of connection when we really do connect with each other. So I would love some tips for someone who's older who gets nauseated by going on these things. Suggestions that you have, or, do you have to be on all of them? How did you get into it?
Absolutely. I don't think you need to be on social media. Have you ever considered teaming up with somebody that really likes social media and you can do what kind of activism do you do? What kind of stuff do you like doing? Yeah, so maybe collaborate with somebody you enjoy social media, and then you don't have to work to your strength. That would be wonderful.
I think it's about finding the platform that works for you as well. It might not be Facebook, it might be that you just want to put information out there and maybe post an article once a day on LinkedIn that is resonating with what you're trying to promote. You don't have to necessarily build that community if you don't want to. If you don't want to start interacting with people, but putting the information out there is activism enough, and getting the eyes on the message that you want to share. And there are so many different platforms that you can use as well. It's, I would say you definitely don't have to be on all of them. Find out what works for you, and then just stay there if you need to. You'll create your audience if you're sharing something meaningful.
Question. Hey guys, my name is Kwame Jackson. I'm from Houston, Texas. Just moved here for the Bay. Thank you guys for coming out. My question is, so I have 1,500 or so followers, and this is just from being a millennial, and these are all my friends basically. But as I've started sharing information, they're not all my real friends. And as I start sharing information about veganism and just every other thing that I'm interested in, people start responding to my posts, and whether that's on my story or like responding at DM, like engaging and sharing, like all of a sudden I'm like now the person that they're looking for value from, and I wasn't necessarily trying to do that. I guess I'm basically going to just take the initiative and start building on it intentionally, not just like accidentally finding myself giving people value. So what are some of the things that you guys started to do when you started getting that kind of engagement and people asking you for answers that really affect their life?
It's probably not going to be helpful to you, but that's kind of the reason why I started the company, because I was getting these messages every day and these same questions, and spending so long writing an email to someone or sending a message and giving them information, help, and trying and kind of doing that so frequently that I felt that I needed to create something bigger and give them a space to go to. But I know that doesn't necessarily help you, but I think that if you want to make it intentional, then just look at what people are really interacting with in your content and what they are finding valuable, and keep doing that, because it's obviously, you're putting yourself out there and you're genuine and it's happening naturally already, it's organic because people are engaging with you and what you're doing. So figure out what that is and just keep doing it, and then just do it with intention.
I think too, if people are direct messaging you and stuff, just always, and again, at the level I'm at, it's still, I'm able to keep up with it to an extent. I know some people, it gets so out of hand, it's hard to, but as much as you can, just try, I think, to still be personal with people, because they're people and they're really genuine, and they need that help, and they're not going to get that help from someone that's got, X number of million followers or whatever. So you're that person that gets to help walk things step by step. And then if it does get overwhelming, I think what I tend to do is, if there's something that a number of people are saying, I'll do like a general post, like she's saying, answering a few of those, like, hey, I've noticed a lot of people asking me about this, here's what I think. And then it also helps too, like if it's Instagram, using polls and stuff to find out what people are really thinking and feeling, and that can help guide how you do it in a mass stroke,
We can move on to the next topic. Ways to present information on social media. I think we already talked a little bit about it, but we can share maybe creative ways to put your message out.
Yeah, so I'd say my number one tip would be just know each platform for what they're good at. I spent like 2 weeks in 2016 making like an end of year recap video about veganism, and I put it on Facebook, and it didn't really get any views. I was like, damn, maybe it's not very good. And I put it on YouTube, and it within like a week got like 200,000, and that's not necessarily because it's really great or really bad. It's just kind of like knowing which platform is good is essential if you want to do well on social media and spread the message.
I think the most important thing that I focus on with my content every day is putting myself in a non-vegan shoes, because I don't want to create content that's speaking to you guys. I don't want to speak to vegans and maybe vegetarians, but I need to remember what it was like before I was vegan and what kind of content I would want to engage with. So I don't want to ever be putting content out there that makes someone feel bad about themselves, or I want it to be thought-provoking, and I think it's important that you represent veganism in a positive light as a solution, and it's aspirational. So I think it's being really conscious of the language that you use, and something that I'm really focused on as well is removing that us and them culture. It's not us and them, it's not us against the meat eaters, it's, this is an inclusive movement. Everyone's on a spectrum of change, and we're all in our own different stages of the journey. Someone who, is eating like animals right now may become your biggest vegan ally in 5 years. So it's just remembering that, and whenever we put content out there, it's remembering who you're doing it for and why you're doing it.
We were talking about also being authentic in using the way or the platform or the way that is most natural for you. If you're good writing, then a blog maybe, or collaborate in a newspaper or in a news media. Or if you're good talking, YouTube channel, or do videos. If you're good interviewing because you think good questions that maybe nobody asks, like do interviews without being yourself there. But the collaboration is something that we're going to talk about in the next topic. But collaborate, put yourself with a team that already exists. Also, sometimes we want to like create from scratch our own media channel, or own this, or own that. But actually, there are so many organizations or media working out there, or activists from one language that need to maybe help to the other culture. So collaboration is like one thing that I totally think we should bring to the table and encourage to do so ourselves too. But if somebody has another question on that, there's 2 questions.
Hi, my name is Carolina from Colombia, South America. I've done a lot of activism in my country, and we do a lot of Facebook, and I'm involved in a lot of groups around the world because I speak English. It's easy for me to join other groups. And I try to be a positive vegan, like I try to share positive messages and share what I eat. I go to the gym, show my muscles. Tell everybody that I've done it on a plant-based diet, which I love doing. Everyone's like, wow, really? So I think that's the best thing that we can focus on as activists. But I know that I've been vegan for many, many reasons, but one of them also is following PETA, and I saw a lot of videos. And I didn't really get to see them much, but it was just a little thing that was enough for me to see, to know that we were not doing things right. So I don't like sharing slaughter videos, and I was, I try not to share sad stories. I try to show nice pictures of animals, good pictures of how they are. So I try to be positive. But what do you guys think? Is it too, as activists, I follow a lot of activists and a lot of friends on Facebook that are vegan, and I'm scrolling down and all these horrible videos, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't do this. But I have to see it because I don't want to disconnect with them, because actually we're working as well. We're all working. Do you guys think it's beneficial to share these videos? Do you think what social media should be focusing on, the truth and the reality and the sad truth about this, or should we be more positive as activists?
I think it's really important that we still have that. I mean, me personally and my company, we don't share it, but I think there's a place for it, and I think that it's not going to be for everyone. Not everyone will want to see it, or a lot of people will hide it from their feeds, and it's not the way to reach everyone. But we need different approaches to reach different people, and it's, seeing that kind of footage was the same for me. It's something that helped turn me vegan. So I think there's definitely an important place for it. It's tough because I think that we should be solution focused and not focus so much on the problems, but we also can't deny that it's happening. So, I think if you're sharing a lot of the positive stuff, then you can always kind of balance it out, but you don't have to. I just think it's important we have all of these different strategies to reach different people, because not everyone's going to connect with the way that I do it, and not everyone's going to connect with the way that you do it. I think we need to have as many different approaches as possible, because there are so many different people.
To reiterate what you were saying at the end, from hanging out with Kip, actually, and Keegan, ripping from their story, I know Kip, one of his biggest turning point for veganism was watching something like that. And then Keegan's literally was a guy yelling at him from the stage at a rock concert. Go vegan! At least that's what Kip's told me. But think about if those people hadn't been posting videos or yelling at from the stage, we wouldn't have given Keegan, and none of us would be here. So, I think it's still important to do it. I think what's really important is just in all the commenting and the backlash and the arguing, being more mindful with that. But if you've got a powerful video that speaks for itself, let it speak for itself. If you've got a platform or a stage, be you,
There are ways to tell about that too. I mean, for some time I was posting, when I realized everything after watching Earthlings, I was like posting things that to me were super strong as well. And I was like, oh, then I had a moment in my life where I was like, no, I'm going to show from a kinder perspective, you know. But then one day, like a month ago, I found a truck of pigs in a gas station, and I went with my phone and started like filming, and I started crying, and I started like showing my emotions towards that situation. And so many people, like, I think they feel the reflection of themselves if you're true and if you're transparent. So that was a very strong situation, but at the same time, depending on how you are telling the story or telling that situation, and again, is finding many ways to reach, you know, but all works. And also like prepare for the reactions, but I learned to ignore, you know. When I know that what I'm saying is need to be like said, I ignore. And then I had so many people being super true, and I'm crying now, thank you for sharing that. And it's like, yeah, everything works. And again, it's all about intentions. Why you're showing this? Because you're angry of the situation and you hate them because you do this? Or you feel your weakness as human person, like as the farmer or somebody you put in their food, you're trying to, you know, it's depending on the intentions. You can also show a bad situation with healing intention or with loving intention, you know? And I think for me at least, that made the difference. So, I don't know. I confused with my answer or something.
Something, saying these may be more graphic if you're interested in seeing it from, you know, versus just having it scroll through your page or something like that.
Next, yeah, we have 10 minutes. So the third topic is challenges and the inclusion of other cultures and languages. And we have, this is the brainstorm we're doing, but we're going to talk about the challenges that we find as being in activism or doing activism in social media. So you can.
Obviously, like people of colour seem to be underrepresented in this community. So it's the challenge of like trying to represent and evenly bring more people from these cultures into it. Another challenge from my point of view is like other vegans tend to get so caught up in like the nomenclature of, oh, that's not vegan, that's plant-based, don't do this, do that. And it just gets really, really annoying. Yeah, that I mean too.
Yeah, everything Klaus just said. I think that those are the main hurdles that we have to overcome. And, you know, I look at the comments every single day on the content that we push out, and, you know, the most negative comments come from other vegans, and it's really disheartening to see. It's, you know, I think it stops people from wanting to become vegan because it looks like there's so much infighting, and it's, you know, I find it embarrassing. It's really tough. We should all be really mission aligned and be thinking, you know, moving towards the same end goal, which I feel like most of us are, but there's always, you know, something's not quite good enough, and I think we should be recognizing a lot of the smaller successes and celebrating when, you know, a celebrity goes plant-based because it's less animals dying. You know, they may not be an ethical vegan, but they're not eating animals anymore, and it, you know, you never know what's going to happen a year down the line. I think it was Miley Cyrus was obsessed with pepperoni pizza at some point, and now she's like one of the biggest vegan activists with a huge following. And you know, I just think it's recognizing those smaller successes and stop having this kind of pure idea of veganism. And you know, everyone is at a different stage, and we need to just celebrate it and encourage it and stop making people feel bad about their journey, because it is a journey, and sometimes it does take time for people.
Who's seen Black Mirror? I think that presents a lot of our challenges in that show. The whole weird, how things can get super weird. My girlfriend actually brought up point the other day, I don't think that, or if you notice when people just get up to use the restroom from at dinner, everyone gets on their phone, or if you're with someone, your automatic reaction is to grab your phone and start looking at your phone, but you forget that you're like sitting next to other people, and there's servers, and there's all these things going on, and those interactions add up too. So I think a big challenge with social media is remembering to like put it down and to not be so absorbed in it. Case in point for me, I met Kip just at an event face to face that had nothing to do with social media, and I've met so many different people that have furthered my own journey, and I've furthered their journey just based on the one-on-one interaction that has nothing to do with social media. So I think that's a good one. Also with what she's saying about the hating thing, I think that's super important, just being encouraging and to clear up. We were just talking about this in the back. I made the Logan Paul comment earlier. He's actually a friend of mine. My friend's filming for him now, and just to clear it up, he's like really on board. He really knows what he says, so I just want to say, like, support people like that. He's on his own journey, and he's really going for it. His chef is making him full vegan. And that guy, I've been telling my little brother, who's 10 years old, about the stuff that we're talking about at this conference, and he's been, in and out. The other day, he met Kip for the first time, and he said, "Hey man, I love processed meat." Just, because he's just like a 10-year-old kid and he likes picking around. But when Logan Paul went vegan, he texted me within an hour and says, "Dude, Logan Paul went vegan." And I was like, I thought, you think Logan Paul's cool with me? But it takes that sometimes, for someone to see that. So support everyone, no matter where they are on the journey. That's what I think.
Awesome. Logan Paul's a social media influencer of like 15 million subscribers on YouTube. So yeah.
I think one challenge also I want to bring on the table, as we were talking before, is to including other cultures. Being from South America and speaking Spanish, there aren't many activists. I mean, there are in many organizations like PETA, Mercy for Animals. They are doing in Spanish-speaking world too for us. But I see that so much of the information that is so normal here in the English world is super unknown down there. It's like, oh, milk is good for you. And it's like, what are you saying? And it's like, I had this amazing thing happening at the beginning of the year because I said something about milk and I talked about slavery, like cows that are enslaved. And that was like a huge problem, like all the media calling me, like it's a mess. Anyway, so I was like, we need to bring information in Spanish as well, like in other languages. So this is an invitation, a petition for all the people that have social medias or are listening to this. Collaborate with other people that speak other languages and translate all the amazing work we already have done. There's so many amazing things like videos or graphics or things that are amazing, and we just need to translate to other languages, not only Spanish, but think about which ones are the language, like the most speaking languages in the world, and collaborate with somebody that, can bring that information also to that community. Please, that would be awesome. Yeah, that was.
Can you talk about how you connect with the Christian community and spiritual other religions that was mentioned in your introduction?
I wish we had more time. It's hard. It's really hard, to be honest. I found that when I spoke about that with my own background with Christianity, it's like the way I rationalize it now is you've got the environmental issue, you've got the health issue, and you've got the ethical issue. But now you've got a scripture or a text that God, who's created all of those things, says something that's been twisted to say something else potentially, and there's so little room to stand on. But I think the biggest thing to do that I found is, again, it's like we were talking about earlier, just keeping super cool and letting your lifestyle speak for itself is the best thing to do. you know, I mean, I could talk about individual interactions, but what I've learned recently with this actually, and this is speaking for Earthling Ed too, he's one of my biggest role models right now, because the way that he approaches things, asking questions, just ask them more questions, and if you don't have an answer, don't try to make one up. That's what I think too. That's what we get into. A lot of times when we get mad and flustered is because we don't know what to say. And just be okay with not knowing what to say, you know what, I'll get back with you on that one. I'll see what we can look into it, especially when it comes to scriptures and stuff, because everyone's going to have a thing with that. Does that kind of answer your question all, or?
A lot of people who are Christian or who are other religions who are finding veganism to be a strong connection with their religious beliefs, or is kind of what you're saying is the opposite, that it's
Right.
a challenge. But I would think there'd be a lot of people who see it as a spiritual step up.
Oh yeah, you would think that. Yeah, I would say, you know, out of optimism, it's growing. But there's tons of people, and I'm getting more and more inspired. Working on a project with AM Films that's asking a lot of people questions like this, and the more I stretch out in different areas, the more I see that it's beginning to be more and more accepted. But yeah, I would think in some odd way, it's definitely that religion can be used in the opposite direction, and as a means to rationalize why to kill and eat animals. But I personally think it is the next step in evolution, or even just the first step, as a lot of us have said here. And I think that our greatest teachers of spirituality were teaching that, if not, you know, super intentionally, then at least it matches what they were saying. Yeah.
Hi, my name is Ignacia. I am from Chile, South America. And I'm a journalist, and well, I have worked in media for many years. And I started a digital media about plant-based that later becoming a plant-based nonprofit. But I would like to know more about your business model and how this digital media can survive. Is just advertising like normal media, or what do you do?
It's a tough one. I'm kind of still learning that myself. I don't monetize anything at the moment. I'm just gradually trying to work out how I'm going to do that. But I think that, you know, to make it sustainable, then you obviously do need to make money, and whether that's finding an investor who is vegan or believes in what you're doing, or monetizing through things like ads and sponsored content is also good. Just be really mindful that, you know, if you are going to be doing sponsored content, that it's still aligned with your mission and what you're doing, and you're not promoting anything just for the money. You know, I think that just be conscious, you know, because people can see it. If it looks like you're trying to sell something, people can really sniff it out, and I think that for some reason people don't like seeing other people making money on blogs and things, which is really strange. But you know, I just think be conscious, be really mindful, and just as long as you're making money in an ethical way, and advertising and sponsored content is a good way to go for a media platform.
I get a lot of hate because on YouTube and the website, some of the adverts are like about meat, and it kind of like divides opinion. But I don't know about you guys, but I'm personally happy taking money from the meat industry and using it to promote veganism. When I say that to a lot of people, they get really triggered. But yeah. But yeah, the three ways we are trying to be sustainable is number one, advertising in the meat industry. Number two, investment, either self-funding or other people. And number three, if money's low, then we just do like video editing work for people, whether that's for charities or for cities. So they're the three streams of income.
Another thing I wanted to bring to the table too, before we finish, is to be updated to what's happening in the world today and the power we have as an individual to make a change. Let's say the World Cup, keep mentioned yesterday, but we're still figuring out how to move some things there, because they say they're on the first sustainable World Cup, and it's like, and they planted 1,500 trees and they're gonna have solar power, but 4 million people are going to come for the World Cup. And I know all the meat is already shipped there and all the trees are already cut down for that event. But what if we like make a petition and everybody signs and we share it and we do something like to say, hey guys, it's not only planting 1,500 trees, but we have to put vegan options or vegetarian options in the World Cup and encourage people to eat that, because that's the way you can be sustainable. And it's like being updated with the things that are happening and shape some organizations or events. That's something. Tomorrow we're gonna have a new lab, so I hope you guys stay tuned on the social network so we can sign petition and do something for this upcoming World Cup. So thank you. Yeah, we can do it. We can totally do it. I'm sure. I want to see signs in the food carts on the World Cup saying, decide, like, be vegan, like you're saying, I don't know, I have these drinks, but
So my name is Serena, and my question kind of follows up on the previous question about money, but more about, like, when you were starting out with YouTube channels or doing this, did you have other jobs, and at what point did you decide to transition or be able to make your company or this sort of a full-time job? And do you think it's still possible to have a successful YouTube channel or organization and another job?
Just real quick.
Yeah. What I did was probably not what I'd recommend, but I bought a boat for £5,000, which is about $7,000, and it meant I didn't have to pay for rent for a year, so I could work for a year and I didn't have to work. But I mean, yeah, that was a pretty bad experience. Just don't expect to make money from it. Just have it as a hobby. Have your vegan project as a hobby, and I think if you've got that mentality, then things will fall into place.
I did a similar thing. I lived in a van for 3 years, which had a lot of ups and a lot of downs. But on top of that, one hack. Everyone loves vegan food, right? One thing that I did, and still do sometimes, is if you reach out to vegan food brands like Yoko's or anyone like that, everyone is looking for people to demo their products at Whole Foods and stuff like that. And it's actually really good money, and it's really flexible. You make your own schedule, and you just get to talk to people about vegan food all day. So that's what I did for a while.
So remember, save some money. Savings, believing, and manifesting. Those are the things. Yeah. So we ran out of time, right? So we'll be around, and I want you guys to say your social media, the networks, for people that maybe are not following us. You can start maybe saying your social media.
Well, you can find us on anything from Instagram to Facebook, which has our biggest following. It's Live Kindly, and then it's livekindly.co. We've just bought the .com, so I'm really happy. But it's not live. But eventually.
Plantbasednews.org and the associated social media pages.
At Cameron Waters, that's Cameron with a K, last name Waters. On Instagram. Everywhere else I don't exist.
Okay. I exist in Facebook and Instagram. I use Instagram because on Facebook are crazy people. But in Instagram is at Fio Migliore, at FIOMIGLIORE, something like that. Thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, one more thing, and then to remind too, there's YouTube. If you want to go back and see how badly I name things, go find me on YouTube. That'll be fun.
Thank you so much. See you later in 15 minutes.